Okay. Then the same concept, like a previous concept, like a process model concept, I want to explain with this simple mathematical expression. So output can be represented as a function of input and control variables. Okay, control variables including controllable and uncontrollable variables. Here y will be your output, and which is function of input variable and uncontrollable variables, controllable variables like a f function of x comma z is your output. Okay, in that, if you want to run the experiment, there will be a changes will be there, right? Changes in your output or variability in your output will be there. That is what it's a delta y. So delta y in the sense changes in the variability or outcome or output in the sense, again changes in the control variables and also changes in the uncontrollable variables. Combination of this only we will be getting the output in terms of variability. Okay, so we want to minimize the variability, so we have to do lots of different processes. Okay, in that under this category, like mathematical, in terms of this mathematical expression, we'll be having multiple objectives. Okay, so from that multiple objective we will be understanding three to four important words or phenomena you can able to take. So the first point I want to say is to know what input variable, that is called x, and the control variable like z, that will affect the value of the output variable y. Okay, this phenomena is known as a process characterization. Again, I'm repeating what are all the words I'm trying to highlight in the PPT. It's very, very important. Please consider, it will be like kind of, if question may come or someone may ask like what is meant by process characterization. It's not about only for this subject examination, I'm telling. In general, if you go for interview process or even when you are doing your major project, you will come to know or you will be asked by your guide like what is meant by process characterization. The process characterization is this one: to know about the input variable x and the control variable z that will affect the value of the y. Okay, that is y equal to f of x comma y is your process characterization, how you are defining. Okay, then to capture the changes of x input variables, that is changes in the sense variations delta x, so that the value of y is always near to the desired nominal value. So that is what our one of the requirement we have discussed in this slide also. So we have to identify which x value is most influenced and which x value is most influenced to get less variability in your output. Okay, and to get the nominal value of your y output. So that is what, to capture the changes of x so that the value of y is always nearer to the desired nominal value. This phenomenon is known as process control. So we have to capture that x, which x value, so that we will be getting the nominal value in terms of y, minimizing the variability. That process is called process control. So two terminologies we have discussed. Third one is process optimization. Okay, so in this process optimization, to capture the changes in x so that the variability of y is minimized. So second point is getting the y value as closer to the nominal value, that is called process control. Third point is process optimization, in the sense minimizing the variability in the y is process optimization. The final one is called robust design. In this robust design, as I said, that uncontrollable variables will be there, right? Z value. So somehow we do some alteration or adjustment in our like in x, so that the effect of uncontrollable variables will be minimized. Okay, in that sense, that kind of process, that kind of design, if we consider in our experimental design, that is called robust design. So mostly robust design will be used in many of the industry aspect or research aspect, because we will be having lots of uncontrollable variables will be there. So in order to minimize that effect of uncontrollable variables on the output like y, we have to adjust or provide some more support or additional investment on the controllable variables and also X, that X, so that that uncontrollable variables effects will be minimized and also variability will be minimized. So that is called a robust design. So four words we please remember. One is process characterization, that is y equal to f of function of x and y, z. So function of input variable and uncontrollable and control variables. Then process control. The process control in the sense getting the y value closer to the nominal value by capturing the changes in the x. That is what the process control. Another parameter is process optimization. The process optimization by doing some changes in x value with respect to the particular function. Like that's why delta f by delta x with respect to the particular function. If you do some changes so that variability of y is minimized, then we can call that one as a process optimization. Then robust design is by considering the uncontrollable variables to minimize that effect of uncontrollable variables. If we do some changes in the x, like with the delta f by delta x, then we can able to get the better output. So that is called robust design. So this is mathematical expression for our main objective of any experiment. Okay. So please remember these three slides: process model and objective with the mathematical expressions. These three slides are very important throughout your subject. And other keywords, what from these previous diagrams and all, we can easily understand that what is meant by response. A response is a measurable output or outcome. Okay, so it's an example. Maybe time is the output, or the quality of the product is output, or strength of the particular material is output, or number of product what we are making is the output. So it's a response. Like Y is what we are telling, the measurable outcome. Okay, then factors. In terms of factor, as I said, multiple things are there. One is dependent and another one is independent. So independent is the main, dependent is comes under response. Independent, what our factors. Here you will be having controllable and uncontrollable factors. But in the most of the experiment, we will be considering the controllable variables because that will affect the performance or that will affect the response or output. So control factors are like, as I said, some example in like a heating how hot water. So in that heat source or lid, whether we use lid or not, or shape of the pot, all will be considered factors. And level. Okay, so level in the sense if we are heating for in the same example, if we are heating, whether the heat level is high or low. Heat level is high means level number one. Heat level is low in the sense level number two. And water level is be maintained. If we consider about the water level, if water level is completely filled on that particular part, or medium level or three-fourth, those are all considered as levels in that. And treatment in the sense whether same experiment, whether for example in ceramic part we are heating, whether with lid or without lid. So with the lid is maybe considered as a treatment one, without lid we may consider like a treatment two. Or if we assume we are going to use different like a ceramic and aluminum part, closed lid only, but whether with a low heat or medium heat. Okay, so like that treatment will be varying, and the noises which is considered as a uncontrollable variables which affect the outcome. So that is called noises. And replication. Replication is different, repetition is different. So I will explain about what is the difference between replication and repetition in the context of design of experiments. So replication is also needed. It's a systematic way we have to do so that we can able to minimize the error which is caused by, due to the uncontrolled variable. So I will explain in detail about what is meant by replication in the coming slides. So till now, if you guys having any doubt, please let me know. Otherwise, we can move to another this slide. Shall we proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So please read this example. There is no solution or something. The concept is needs to be discussed here. just to go through that example content clearly. Okay, so I'll again, if hope you guys read that. So in this example, you have flow shoulder machining machine. The particular machine, shoulder machine, is used in the manufacturing process for printer circuit boards, like a PCB board. They want to print in the printer circuit boards. They want to do the soldering. Okay, they use the solder machine. Okay. Next, the process engineer would like to conduct a design experiments to determine which control variables is significantly affecting the output quality. Okay, so the person who is as an engineer, we are handling that particular solder machine to do soldering on the printer circuit board. Okay, PCB board. We are preparing in the PCB board. We are doing some soldering. So PCB board, maybe for that a simple understanding I given here. So this is the PCB, this is the soldering machine. Here we are doing some soldering on the PCB board. So the process engineer, like we want to know which control variable is affecting the output quality. Output quality in the sense maybe the defect or number of product. It's different. Output may be different. How many number of soldering we are doing, or how many number of PCB boards we are doing in our, and we are giving as output, that is different. But his output, his expectation or output is quality of soldering. Okay, so that is what his expectation. So which control variable is affecting significantly affecting the output quality of soldering, he wants to know, and also to find out the way to reduce the variability of output due to change in uncontrollable variables. So this is what. So here, why I given in this example, I'm not going to solve anything because I'm not given any number. Just how you will be understanding. This is one experiment. Okay. So classical example is this one. You can consider. So here, what is the process? So this kind of question may come in your exam also. Maybe ask like that, and ask you guys to discuss about this example or this exercise. What you understand, what is this process, what are the control variables, what are the uncontrolled variables, what is your input, what is your output. So output is your quality, defects of soldering is your expected outcome. Less defects is expected. Okay. So if you have more defects, variability is more. If you have less defects in soldering process, that is called your expected output from this control variable, and by doing this process. Okay. So here, what all the things is considered as a process? Soldering is considered as a process. Then what all the control variables will be there? Any idea? Can you discuss any one or two control variables? Assume
Temperature at which the
yes, temperature at which, yes, one.
yes, sir. Temperature at which we are doing the soldering is one of the control variables.
Yes. Uncontrolled variables?
Human input, sir.
Yes,
I mean,
the
that
person who
particular
is
person may or may not be an expert in soldering.
yes. The person who doesn't have much experience may give some more time on soldering. So thickness of soldering may vary. Okay. So these are the list of control factors. This is for the same example which we discussed previous, like solder temperature. Whether we already done preheating on that particular PCB board for soldering purpose, and conveyor speed, okay, and the flux type, what kind of flux we are using to do the soldering, and flux specific gravity, because gravity of that particular flux is very, very important to cool or stick on that, and solder wave depth, how much depth, and conveyor angle. These are all known because we are using on the particular machine. From the machine we can able to control. So if I say like other engine, or if I consider the other machine process, definitely control factors I can able to get similar. But in terms of the soldering example, if we consider uncontrollable factors, thickness of the printed circuit board, because that particular machine doesn't care about whether the thickness of doesn't check about whether like 2 millimeter PCB board, thickness PCB board or 2.1 something, but it will affect your performance of your soldering. Okay, so that is not controlled by that particular operator on that particular machine. And types of components used on the board. For example, PCB board already coming with lots of print. So many things. It may affect the soldering process, but it's not controllable by that particular operator on that particular location. So that also considers a component. It's considered uncontrollable. Then layout of the components on the board, where so many components, whether it is in this orientation or this orientation. Then operator who is doing this operation, production rate, number of product we are making. If our primary output is production rate, then it will be in different scenario. But our primary output requirement is what? Reducing the defect from this process. So this is the output. So our output should be reducing the soldering defect. So what would be the objective? Why this objective created? Why this experiment created? If we go back in the sense, experiment created to minimize or reduce the soldering defects caused. Okay, that's why only that is the purpose only they designed this experiment. They conducted a study. Okay, otherwise if they are printing PCB board and they are doing soldering on the PCB board continuously doing mass production, and it is going as for the customers frequently without much defect, no need of doing this particular like experiment, because this is the problem statement. Problem statement is customer side. From customer side we are getting complaints like what all the PCB board you are giving, that PCB board has lots of soldering defects. So that is the problem statement we will be getting as engineers in any industry. Then as engineers, what we have to do, we have to frame the problem statement and design an experiment. By designing the experiment, we have to list out what are all the control variables, what are all the uncontrollable variables, then which control variable is influencing that defect. So has to do some changes on the control variables to minimize or reduce the soldering defects. So this is one kind of example in terms of experiment concept. Then second example I am telling. In this example, we are interested to improve the yield. Yield maybe we can consider like a output, yield of a chemical process through using a two most important process variables. So two process variables, using those two variables, we will be getting, we want to increase the yield of the chemical process. Okay, what are all the variables they are telling? Reaction time, x1. So if by mixing multiple chemicals, there will be a reaction time. There needs to be reaction time to mix together. So reaction time is one, and operating temperature, at what temperature it's running that particular chemical process. Okay, this is the two important process which is told by the industry people, or they are following this. Okay, because they feel like this is the main two parameters. So in this example, they are telling reaction time and operating temperature. And as a given, response surface is unknown to the process personnel, experimental setup will be required to investigate it. Okay, so here, what are all the parameters, what are all the input variables, control variables, uncontrollable variables. So here, if you consider, this is the process. So if this kind of statement is given, to you and ask you to prepare a process model, in the sense you have to prepare in this way and with your own example. So this here I'm given only x1, x2, but you have to, because the reaction time may be different. You will be having two levels will be there in your reaction time. Also operating temperature, you may be having two operating temperature. Okay, so here the chemical is your input for the particular process, like a mixing process or something, where you will be having the control variable x1, x2, like a temperature is one, and reaction time is the another one. Under temperature, you have a two set of temperature is there. One is 80 degree, another one is 90 degree, and reaction time, one is 170 minutes, another one is 180 minutes. So like that, if you assume. So this is the control output will be what? Improving the yield of a chemical process. The sense. So how many number of factors and how many levels you will be doing the experiment? Because it's involved with two parameters or two variables. One is reaction time with 2 level, operating temperature with 2 level. So it has like this. You have to design like this. Okay, x1 here, x2 here. All this will affect the like. Okay, internet lost. Are you getting my voice? Hello, hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So my laptop will start. So which parameter is affecting? So since I'm assuming like two values for reaction time and for operating temperature, two values in the sense, both the things has a choice. Okay. For reaction time 80, 90 means for reaction time 80 and the operating temperature 170 is one thing. Here is one thing. Then same 80 temperature and 180 is another. Similarly, 90 and 180, 90 and 170. So these are all the options available in your thing. So if you have these four different experiment or levels, you will be doing and you will be getting some output. So from this all four, you can able to analyze that which one is providing the better yield. Okay, so it's not only one output, you will be getting four output. From the four output, you can able to get which combination of your variables providing the better yield. That is what your requirement for this particular experiment. So another example I want to add is the response variables of interest in designing an aircraft engine, or what are the things? Two things: fuel consumption and engine thrust is your response variable. In the previous problem, what is your response variable? Improving the yield. Yield is your response variable. But in terms of this example concern, the response variable they are telling is like a fuel consumption and engine thrust. These are all the two response variables from this process. The engineer in charge uses a computer model, maybe FEA model, of the system where he can vary the following designed parameter. What are the parameters he can able to vary? Inlet flow, fan pressure ratio, overall pressure, and outlet temperature. So by changing all four parameters, he wants to see he wants to optimize the performance of the engine. So in order to identify or analyze the performance of the engine, what are the things he wants to analyze? Fuel consumption and engine thrust, and what all the parameters or variables he is considering? Four parameters: inlet flow, fan pressure ratio, and the temperature and pressure. So this is how you have to do the process modeling. Okay, so computer model, in that process will be running. From the process you will be getting like a response variable as fuel consumption and engine thrust, and what are all the parameters you want to consider as a control variable is inlet flow, fan pressure ratio, overall pressure, and outlet temperature. Maybe here what I done, this needs to be removed. So here 1, 2, 3, 4. What I refer is inlet flow, fan ratio, overall pressure. So this is what I am relating. Again, we last class also we started discussing about experimental strategy of experimentation. So under that you have three methods: best guess approach, conventional strategy, and strategy. Best guess approach is like a trial and error method. So that is what I gave. Best guess approach. Here you have a lot, like a simple example. Play a golf where you have the driver. The driver may be having different sizes, like oversized or regular or medium size. Another thing, whether you are playing the golf you are making shot, after that you are moving from one place to another place using by walk or through some truck or vehicle, or in between are you drinking any energy drink or water. Then whether you are playing in the morning time or evening time or afternoon time, so many factors are involved, right? So in that, sometimes if you decide, like, okay, I am choosing the driver one with the oversized driver. I'm doing some shot, so I feel like my performance is good. Then you will be stopped that next sequence of operations or thinking. Then you will go move on. So it won't be giving you the best result, but you assume it is the best result, but it won't be giving the best result. There may be best results available at the later stages of the experiment, but first stage itself, you feel like okay, I got the best results like that. You assume yourself it will lead to missing out the optimized value. Otherwise, first results, first experiment setup, like using oversized driver, you won't be able to get the optimized result or expected outcome. Then you will be trying next level, next level, next level. So best guess approach won't be giving good solution. So it may create like a lengthy exercise procedure, or it may shorten the experimental procedure, but it won't guarantee the desired output or nominal output what we want to. Okay, so better to avoid this discuss guess approach in any experimental point of view. Then another thing is comes under conventional strategy. So under that, as I said, like multiple things are there. One factor at a time, and multi-factor, several factor one at a time, several factor all at a time. So like that. So first I will show what is the difference between one factor at a time, several factor one at a time, and several factors at the same time. So one factor at a time, in the sense, in your experiment you will be having only one factor which will be affecting your test performance or output. Okay, this is one factor at a time. For example, variable x1, x2, x3 is there, means x1 will, you will be testing with x1 and you will be getting the response and you will be seeing the output. Again, you will be doing the experiment with the factor, considering the factor x2, or here as per this table, you will be considering the factor a2 and see the output. Okay, so one factor at a time is one example, one method under the conventional strategy. Second one is the several factor one at a time. For example, multiple factors are there. A, B, C, D is there. Each factor may be having multiple levels. What you do, each level you will be considering one, two. For example, one is the factor. All is same level, but multiple factors are there. You will be considering that in one trial, first trial, you will be considering all the factor with the same value, and you will be seeing the output. Then, when you go to the second, second trial, only you are changing only one level in one factor, keeping rest of the factor as the previous one. Then you will be seeing the output. Okay. Then you will be moving to the factor number two, change the level by keeping the other three factors as a basic, then go for the output. So this is several factor one at a time. So changing the level of multiple factors, which only one time, and get the output. That is what several factors one at a time. But in terms of several factors at the same time, in the sense, in trial one, you will be going with multiple factor with one level and find out the output. While you are going for the second trial, you will be changing all the levels of increase the or change the all the levels of the factor, multiple factors, and they get the output. So what is here is what all the disadvantage you will be thinking getting is you can't able to find which factor is affecting mainly. Okay, you don't know which factor is affecting, whether factor A, factor B, factor C, factor D is affecting the output, or under the particular factor which level is affecting the output, like a outcome. It is very difficult, and also this one called as a poor experimental strategy. Most of the people not doing this. Why? In the sense, it will increase the cost of doing experiment, because most of the time you will be repeating the same process without knowing us. Okay, so these are all the things conventional strategy process needs to be removed. And also we can't able to understand what is happening on the interaction. If you have the two factors, what will happen, you don't know. You can't able to understand. For example, here that some example I'm telling, for particularly for one factor at a time is the one factor at a time method consists of selecting a starting point or baseline set of levels for each factor and then successfully varying each factor over its range with the other factors held constant. So if you have multiple factors, you have the different ranges, keeping one as a constant, then changing the other. Okay. After all the tests are performed, a series of graphs are usually constructed showing how the response variable is affected by varying each factor. For example, the same golf consideration, if you have, score is your output. Okay, score is your output. So 1, 2, 3, 4 graph given here. In y-axis, you are telling like a y, your y will be your score. Your score should be lower. Once your score is lower, only we can consider like your golf performance is better. In that sense, oversized driver or regular sized driver. So score should be minimal so that we can say that performance of the golfing is better in the sense from this graph, from this particularly this graph, what we can take, the regular sized driver is providing low score. So performance of the golf will be better when we are using a regular sized driver. Yes, this is what we can get it from the results of result. That is what one factor at a time. Similarly, if you are using different, like a ball size, as I said, how they made, like a 2-piece, 3-piece, multiple size. Here they are considering single or 2-piece, something like that. The score is like the same. So we can't able to decide whether 2-piece ball or 3-piece ball is providing the better result, better score or performance. We can't able to analyze. Okay, we can ignore. But in terms of mode of travel, so in between the Gulf start is traveling either by walk or through some vehicle. So if by run, like walking or using some vehicle, using vehicle, the score is low. Since I said like a score value is lower, the performance of the golfing is better. In the sense, mode of travel using some cart or vehicle is better for increasing or enhancing the performance of the golfing. So from this alone, this graph alone, we can say that yeah, this is good. Then what kind of drink he is having, whether he is drinking water or any soft drinks or beer or something. So if he drinks water, his performance is good. So from each and every factor, individual factor, we can able to get the performance out, like whether which one, like a regular driver or oversized driver, or whether walking or using some car, whether drinking water or soft drinks. Separately, we can get which one is affecting. Fine. But if we combine two parameters, whether we can able to make a decision. So from this, we are making decision like a regular sized driver is better. From here, we are telling like a mode of travel through vehicle is better. From here, we are telling that drinking water is providing the better performance. Okay, if I consider the combination like an interaction, considering the two factors at a time, in the sense, see here, same output like score value. Here I'm a regular sized driver, and here it's given like oval. For regular sized driver also you have the score. For oversized driver also you have the score. So if I draw in this manner, see here, which one is better? Regular sized driver is better, and drinking beer or energy drink, something is no. What I say? What to say? Yes, walking is better instead of vehicle. Okay, walking is better instead of vehicle. So understanding is, if we go individual factor and we make a decision, is you will be, even though we will be getting some result, but when we combine together multiple factors at a time, it won't recommend any one result. It will confuse us. So conventional strategy should be avoided in order to go for any like research or experimental design, what we do in terms of our in any industry point of view, or even your own research. So you should consider multiple factors, and you have to use better experimental design. Better experimental design in the sense comparing two conventional strategies, you will be having factorial designs. Okay, in factorial designs, lots of classification is there, there. So we'll be seeing one by one. So always remember, we should not do any one factor alone. So what are the disadvantages? Disadvantages of one factor at a time is fails to consider any possible interaction between the factors. There is no there is an interaction between factors in the sense it fails to do that. So it will predict or it will give the results poor only. So we can't believe individually we are considering okay, but when we interact if we interact the factors and analyze the result, it will be delivering us or it will be giving us the poor results only. And another one, as I said, like under experimental strategies, strategy design. So in this strategy design, we have to design the strategy like this. For example, 1 1 and 1 2 they are changing, then 2 1 changing, 2 2 they are changing. Like everything they are changing continuously. They are going with balanced and orthogonal. Orthogonal in the sense, for example, if you are keeping A and changing B, then keeping B and changing A. Like every combination you have to try. It's not only one factor at a time or all the factors at the same time. It's wrong. So you have to find all the combinations, all the probabilities. Then if you are finding out the responses, then only you can able to analyze the system performance very well. Okay. So that is what your full factorial design. So full factorial design is the main for all the design of experiment and will be practiced in all your exercises or in your industry point of view or research. Mainly they will be using full factorial designs only. It should be balanced and also it should be orthogonal. Factor A does not influence the estimate of the effect of factor B and vice versa. Okay, both factor and interaction effects can be estimated. So if we go with the full factorial design, if we find out the interaction effect, definitely it will give the better results. But if we go with one factor at a time, it will be giving the poor result. But if you go with the full factorial design, it will give the perfect. But what all the limitation we may experience is few factors only we can able to consider. Okay, we can able to consider only few factors. If several factors are investigated, the number of experiments to be run under full factor design is very large. If we have multiple factors like A, B, C, D, 4, Y, because you have to go balanced study and also you have to go all the combinations consideration. So number of experiments what you want to do will be more. So whenever you are increasing the number of factor in your experiment, number of experiments you want to do will be very, very high. So that is why like a Takuchi method and all came, like orthogonal array methods are there, like L4, L5, L6. You will be seeing the Takuchi method, all the things during your later unit, like a third unit or fourth unit. So where experiments will be more, but because you want to consider all the factors. So what are all the need for statistical design? The final one is to obtain like unambiguous results at the minimum cost, because no need of you are planning properly the experimental design. It will consider all the combinations or all the possibilities. It will combine all the factors. You can able to find the better results. Okay, it will and also you can get the main effect. Main effect in the sense, one factor, what is the effect happening? Another factor, what is the effect happening? You can able to get, and also interaction effect also you can able to get if we go with the strategical design. That means like a factorial, full factorial design way. Then with limited number of experiments, the crucial factor can be obtained. Which factor is very, very crucial for the performance or output, or which factor is producing the nominal value for the y, that is outcome, we can able to obtain if we go with the statistical design or full factorial method. Okay, and also we can able to validate this some using statistical concept because it follow statistical concepts need certain assumptions. If we go with a previous method, that assumption will be failed. We can't able to compare the data like numbers output what we are getting. But in order to use the statistical tool to compare the output, we have to follow certain rules. That rules in the sense this strategy design is very, very important. Okay. Robust design. Okay, so I will wind up from here. You have any other class, next class?
No, sir.
Okay. So then I will wind up with this last slide for today. So robust design, as I said, in the first slide itself here, maybe you remember that robust design is means what? So somehow you are increasing or changes you are giving on your X. Okay, you are giving some changes in your X so that the effect of uncontrollable variable will be minimized. So what are the changes you are doing to minimize the effect of your uncontrollable variable is considered as a robust design. Okay, robust design, you name it. So that is what again it is repeated. So robust design reduce time to design or develop a new product and process because you are minimizing the uncontrollable variable. By minimizing the uncontrollable variables, you can able to increase the performance. That is what improve the performance of the existing process, improve the reliability and performance of the product, and the robustness of your product or process will be achieved. And you can able to evaluate the any kind of material, or you can find out the design alternatives or so on. Okay, so this is called robust design, and it's just a brief history when it is started. Like a design of experiment is when it is started. It started by Professor R.A. Fisher and his team members. When and why they have started is during 1980 to 40s. That era they used extensively used this design of experiment principles. So mainly they used factorial design. So that is what I said. They are not used any one factor at a time or something. They used strategic design, that is called factorial design, full factorial design, and also analysis of variance, ANOVA. ANOVA in the sense, otherwise we can call it as analysis of variance or ANOVA, full factorial design or statistical design. They used during this period, this era. Why they used in the sense to enhance the impact of agriculture. Okay, in agricultural field, because they are doing farming, there are lots of things they are investing like water, electricity, so many things they invested, and they want to know which factor is increasing the output, like agricultural output, what they are getting from the agriculture, which one is providing better output, they want to try. So they consider the factorial design. Mainly they trial and method and all initially they started, but after that factorial design they planned, they used analysis of variance. Mostly still, many of the industry, we are using analysis of variance and factorial designs only. Because it's very, very crude one. So these guys started, they were doing. After that, US people or industry people started using these concepts like ANOVA or factorial design in their industry during their first industrial revolution. After that, these guys, Box and Wilson, they started thinking about response surface. Response surface also one of the terminology or technique will be there, will be discussed in the later stage of this subject. And they used this response surface along with factorial design and ANOVA in industry like a chemical industry or processing industry in order to increase the output of the process industry. Okay, the performance of the industry. Then during the second industrial 2.0, during 1970s to 1990s, I think this the nine needs to be removed. For quality improvement purpose, they started using many companies, many countries used. There comes the Takuchi. During 1970s to this period, Takuchi is very big. Still, many industries are using Takuchi method. So they will be using this Takuchi method to optimize the process, and they want to do robust design so that they can minimize the uncontrollable variables and enhance the output. Okay, and modern era, multiple tools, techniques are there. And during 1980s and the DOT process went it with the high level. Nowadays, people are proposing so many concepts under design of experiment. The design of experiment in the sense, heading is like that, but what your experiment is main. Experiment is what? How you are designing your particular experiment. What are all the parameters? What are all the factors? What are all the variables? What are all the outcomes? So how you are minimizing your uncontrollable variables errors? So how you are enhancing the performance. This is how they'll be. So handling the data is main called for design of experiment. So this is the like a DOE history. Okay. So characteristics of well-planned experiment. Okay. So from this we can continue in our next class.